not a big deal. I'm still going to pull it out though, because I actually think I'm going to pull the bell housing out. I kind of want to see how much oil is in the bell housing at the at the bottom here. And also, it's very possible I may put a different clutch in this thing. Here's the front side of the throwout bearing, and that's where the line goes in. So it sits like this on the front of the trans. But what's really nice is that it is totally dry, which is, I think that's a good thing. A lot of oil in that bell housing here. It was, flywheel was flinging it around pretty good. I have a block plate on here, so the clutch lets loose, it doesn't destroy my block too. I don't know, it's gonna be hard to see, but I have it separated here since I got the bell housing off, and I can look up in here, and tough to see, but it is bone dry on this side of the block plate. So I'm confident it's just the trans leaking, and it doesn't, as I look up between the flywheel and the plate, there's no oil up in there. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this pressure plate and clutch off. This is a Ram 402 pressure plate, and this is their clutch. It's a 310M, and it's what they call their muscle car clutch. It's non-metallic, both sides, and the pressure plate is pretty standard stock pressure plate. I had problems with this clutch slipping at the track when I had my drag slicks on the car. This is good for 450 horse, supposedly. I've got my motor somewhere's around 500 horse, then you bolt slicks on it, and I think I'm just basically at the edge of it. So I'm going to upgrade the clutch. I can still use pressure plate. This clutch only has a few 1,000 miles on it. Here's the clutch I'm going to go to. This is the Ram 980 series. It has non-metallic on one side and then metallic on some metallic blend thing on the other side. This is supposed to have good street manners. I've actually run this model clutch before. I feel a difference on the street, but I have to do something because this just isn't holding. I believe this one's good for 550 horse, so that puts me right where my setup's at. Flywheel definitely has seen some heat here. Man. I don't know, maybe I should have it resurfaced. The flywheel's already installed. I had some help doing that to keep it from spinning while I torqued the bolts to 75 foot-pounds. I did have the flywheel resurfaced, came out super nice, so it's like a brand new flywheel. And now time to put the clutch on. So the clutch, there's a motor side and a hub side. The motor side's flat, so that will go to the flywheel using the supplied alignment tool. And then the pressure plate goes on, and there's no orientation to that. Get this lined up here. Get just a couple bolts in here. just keep it from falling off. But again, obviously get something up here, keep it from flopping down. Okay, so that's got it in place. I need to then, the other bolts that I'm going to put in, I'm going to put some Loctite on. I'll take those 3 bolts out once I get the other bolts on and Loctite those. I did it without Loctite, just I didn't want to be dealing with the slop of Loctite while trying to hold the thing up there and everything. So now that it's more or less in place, I'm not fighting that. So all the bolts have Loctite on them now, and but it's loose. As far as the clutch disc, it can still wiggle it around. So what I'm going to do is I usually just push in on this to try to get it centered as much as possible, because it's got to be in alignment for the trans to go through there, and then tighten them down. Just get them snug to hold the disc in place, and you don't have to hold it. Here's the bell housing. It's a Lakewood, I believe. I bought it used years ago, and it's a scatter shield. And one thing to note that I did to it is I drilled this hole right here, which allows me to get a feeler gauge in and check the gap of the clutch to the pressure plate and the flywheel to make sure that the clutch is releasing okay. I think probably drilling the hole, you know, it's not SFI approved now, but it's the same bell housing that was on the motor before. I've cleaned up the mating surface on the block real good, and the same on the bell housing. Take our clutch alignment tool out. All right. We'll get one more on this side. Okay, so a couple things to note. This bell housing, you can see all the numbers on it here. I index that in for concentricity with the crank for the Tremec transmission. I also check this for parallelism, which is this way, parallel to the block. I actually have these 2 shims right here that I need to put in on the other side, and that gives me all my parallelism. No need to check it again. I did all, nothing's changed. I didn't take the dowel pins out of it or anything like that. I know hard to see, but I'm holding the 2 shims in place while I put the nearest bell housing bolt in, just to sandwich them and squeeze it, and so they stay in place. There we go. Okay, so now we just need to put in the rest of the bell housing bolts. So to get at these things, I'm using kind of a contraption here. These extensions I have, they're called wobble extensions, and they give you a little bit of leeway of wobbleness, and I can get up in over the top of the bell housing and get these things tight. I have a hydraulic clutch on this, and this is my hydraulic throttle bearing, and this is the line coming down from the master cylinder and the clutch pedal. These have to get put together before you even start trying to put the transmission in. So to do that, you have to get the line through here, and then put it onto the throwout bearing. And the reason you got to do it like this is because once the throwout bearing is in place, you cannot access this fitting. Okay, so now I have it assembled on, okay, because once I put this through the hole, you can't access this. Okay, so that's now tight. I need to finagle this into, there we go, more. get it so that it's this last ear gets in. There we go. All right. So there's the orientation that it should be in. And I'm trying to get it centered in the hole. So there we go. There's that line coming out. That's my bleeder screw hanging down. This is the rod that goes through that hole in the throwout bearing. I have a spacer that also needs to go on this thing. And that would go here. And it's got like a lip on it, and there's a groove here. So all this stuff has to get put in at the same time, and then the throwout bearing has a groove or a boss that needs to fit into here. The red tape is my attempt to keep this spacer ring tied into the retainer here to keep it from flopping around. Otherwise it's just, I don't know how I'm going to try to get all the stuff aligned at the same time. It shouldn't affect alignment for the trans, because if you look down from the top, there's this is what locates on the bell housing, and then there's a step down here, and it's a good, I'd say total across the diameter, probably 60 thousandths difference. So the tape is kind of lower than where it needs to locate. It's about centered. Let's start in here. Okay. I think I need to lean it forward a little bit. Okay, now we're through the clutch. So I can see here that the gap that's here, it's that the trans needs to get angled more like this. Let's see. Looks pretty good. Let's see if we get, there we go. Okay, now we are, I think, pretty close to trying to get the tip into the back of the crank. I'll go up a little bit maybe. So I have the transmission lined up enough to where I can get the bolts in on both sides. So I'm pretty close. Those are just finger tight. You're not supposed to obviously tighten up a transmission like that by using the bolts, because you can break off the ears. But I'm fighting a couple of things. One, that throwout bearing has a pretty stiff spring on it, and it could be pushing the trans back. And then obviously I'm maybe not totally lined up with the tip of the input shaft to the pilot bushing in the bottom of the crank. So now that I have it kind of lined up, I've measured the gap here and the gap here. That seems to be the same top to bottom, which means I think I have the angle right and everything. It's just a matter of wiggling it around, I think, and trying to get that pilot bushing started. I am going to start to try to tighten up these bolts. Do it real slow. If I feel any super heavy duty resistance, then I'm going to stop. And just rotating and doing it this way. Very confident that the tip of the input shaft is into the pilot bushing with how far up I am. And see, this is just turning super easy. I'm way too hooked up on the wrench. I can even turn this thing by hand. Yep. Yeah, we're in good shape here. Pulled up on both sides. And go around the other side. There we go. It pulled up really nice and easy. Choked up on the wrench. Time to get the jack out of here. I probably total messing around with this thing. I I would say 45 minutes total from the time I started jacking it up to where it was in. I don't think that's too bad for a single person doing it. All right. And the transmission is in. I'm going to get the cross member on. And so slip those on. I'm going to go in on an angle. Clear some of the frame supports. Almost there. There we go. Rubber piece on this side. All right. The cross member is in. I don't know why it was such a fight to do it, but it all fit in there good. Now time to put the rest of it all back together. Shifter and speedo cable are back in. Tunnel is back in place. Drive shaft and exhaust back on. Two sensor in. Shift tower, shift handle, and carpet is in. Seats are in, sill plates are in, so should be ready to go for a drive, right? I have about 120 miles on it. 2 or 3 separate drives, so it's gone through some heat cycles, and it is dry as can be. You can see up on the bell housing, between bell housing and the transmission is dry, my floor is dry, the leak is fixed.